Thanks for staying with us. Now, every June 23 is International Widows' Day. This is to draw attention to the voices and experiences of widows and to galvanize the unique support that they need. This year's theme is accelerating the achievement of gender equality. This day is an opportunity for action towards achieving full rights and recognition for widows. Now, this includes providing them with information on access to a fair share of their inheritance, land and productive resources, pensions and social protection. And for more on this development, Chief Executive Officer, Seth Raphael Support Foundation, Patricia Aboyeji, joins me on the news this hour. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, widows are often faced with stigmatization. Some are often denied inheritance rights. Some are even faced with poverty. Now, what do you think can be done to advance or safeguard their rights?
Oh, well, presently in Nigeria now, we have about 15 million widows, out of the world's 258 million widows. And then let's start by saying a woman becomes a widow as soon as she lost her husband. And this is a traumatic and life-changing event that comes with lots of challenges, that if care is not taken, it can affect every widow's mental health. So now, when we talk of stigmatization, these are most of the problems that widows face generally in Nigeria, or let's say in Africa as a whole. And then I think one of the, solutions that can help to eradicate this is when the government step in to enforce law and protocols that will be widely spread in our communities so that, the in-laws and the families can be aware that when they do this to widows, then something, probably there will be a punishment or something that can be done so that they can stop these issues among our community. Also, we have these gender-based issues. I think it's affecting us in our communities, whereby the men are more treated well than the women. Because when a woman dies, the widower is treated differently to when a man dies. They treat widows more with cruelty, than when a woman dies. So, and I think apart from that, social cultural expectations should be eradicated as well, whereby the widows are expected to, appear in certain ways. If all these things are stopped, then women can rise up to their, they can also rise up to their rights, and they can fight for themselves, and probably all these problems can be eradicated and fade away gradually. So also I think one of the things that can also be done is when there's an awareness. When we try to create awareness, the men should be able to have their own will, so that when they die, the wives can survive, without the family interference. So I think that answers the question.
All right, you talked about the statistics of widows we have in Nigeria. 15 million is a lot. But regardless of these numbers, and it keeps growing, many widows still feel unseen. Many widows still feel unsupported. Let's talk about the theme of this year's Widows' Day, which says accelerating the achievement of gender equality with emphasis on strengthening land and property rights. Now, beyond just paying lip service to these issues, every year we have these issues on the table. What more do you think can be done beyond just talking about them?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, despite the huge number of these women, their voices are unheard, the problems are unnoticed, and I think this is simply because majority of our people don't even believe that widows go through these problems, because they've seen it as, I think they see it as something that has to be done. They've seen it. They are hiding under the pretense of culture, because they've seen it as cultural rights. That is where the problem is coming from. Because if all these cultural rights are eradicated, the problems will be solved. Because all communities have their own types of culture that they perform when the man dies. Some will allow the woman to, they will tell the women to shave their hair. Some will tell them to sleep with the corpse. Some will tell them not to eat. There are different ritual rites depending on which culture the woman comes from. So if there is an awareness and letting the people know that subjecting women to this barbaric act is stigma, it's trauma, then I think they will be able to know that apart from taking it under the rules of culture, they can know that they are subjecting these women to a form of mental torture.
All right, thanks indeed for your thoughts with us. And I've been speaking with Chief Executive Officer, Seth Raphael Support Foundation, Patricia Aboyeji. Thanks indeed for your time with us.
Thank you very much.
Right, moving on now, diversity fuels the world. It is crucial for countries to encourage education and awareness, allowing everyone to thrive equally with love and unity. This was a key message from the 30th General Assembly of the African Organization for Standardization in Abuja. Uloma Oyimachi has the details.
From registration to the arrival of esteemed guests, the atmosphere was filled with laughter and smiles, exemplifying why countries must unite to advance global standardization and innovation. Marking its 30th annual meeting, the African Organization for Standardization has brought together key stakeholders from various countries, both within and outside Africa, to discuss the future, particularly in relation to the Africa Continental Trade Area. The host of the event, the Standards Organization of Nigeria, shared high expectations, explaining that the planning for this event has been underway since November 2023.
At the Standards Organization of Nigeria, we are committed to integrating this roadmap with our collective goal of fostering a quality culture and transfer of knowledge through standardization.
On the theme, Educate an African Fit for the 21st Century, One Market, One Standard, stakeholders acknowledge its alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4 and its importance for boosting the free zone markets.
I am happy to announce in the last 2 days we had council meetings that approved around 250 standards. We have now a catalog of 2,000, more than 2,000, to be precise, 2,049 harmonized standards. But having the standards harmonized is one thing. Implementing those standards is something else.
We must design and implement standards in such a way that promotes inclusive growth and sustainable development.
The federal government of Nigeria reiterated its commitment to this trade agreement, detailing ongoing efforts from its end.
Nigeria played a significant role in the establishment of ARSO in 1976. I wish to assure you that the present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will continue to support ARSO to facilitate African industrialization and intra-Africa and global trade.
This meeting is one of the many activities scheduled for ARSO Week and will end on June 21st, 2024. Uloma Oyemachi, TVC News, Abuja.
On a bit of entertainment, the Guild of Organists of Nigeria is advocating proper structure for music education in schools. Music scholars and enthusiasts in Lagos believe this will help build a better society with fresh talent. Senior reporter Ola Awako witnessed the colorful classical musical performances.
Music has been a tool for social change in the society from time immemorial. But classical music, which is known for its unique structure and use of orchestral ensembles, has not been receiving enough patronage among a larger percentage of the youth. Here, the Guild of Organists of Nigeria has been in existence for a decade, and the essence of this convergence is to review and revive the culture of classical music in the country.
We are associated with the Council of God.
The guest speaker stresses the need for the Guild to establish a formidable community of musicians that will contribute to nation building.
Our mission should be to establish an empowered community of musicians, organists, choir masters, and clergy in Nigeria, through the promotion of effective organization and exploration of the diverse possibilities of music. We aim to foster spiritual regeneration and transformation.
The organist and choral groups created organized melodies that captivated the audience. The national president of the Guild of Organists of Nigeria wants the government to provide an enabling environment that will facilitate music learning in schools.
The government should provide enabling opportunity platform, for members, especially by providing instrument, because the instrument is expensive. So the government can invest in schools, buying organs for schools, even at secondary level, even primary, because that's where we begin to catch them and build young organists, so that we don't make it old people's art. It can also be young people's art.
Other music scholars and enthusiasts advocate proper investment in music education across the country.
What we need to do is to now go back and re-educate people about the various types of music. They all have their places, but don't let one dominate at the expense of the other.
If you have music in our primary schools, in our secondary schools, and even in our tertiary schools, then we will have laid a good foundation for music. And that's what we are lacking today. It's really painful that we don't have, because it's from the school that the current generation will learn music and they grow with it.
Contributed a lot to music in Nigeria.
The Guild also used the platform to appreciate those who have contributed immensely to the development of classical music in Nigeria. With more programs of this nature amplifying the plight of classical music experts in the country, it is expected that the form of music will soon begin to appeal to more youth in Nigeria. Ola Awakon, TVC News, Lagos.
And at TVC News this hour, for more updates on the stories we are monitoring, you can visit our website, www.tvcnews.tv. You can also follow us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and on X at TVC News NG. On YouTube, we are live at TVC News Nigeria. Thanks for watching.